Hey, badass crew. It's Jenny Bellinger, your direct sales dom, helping you whip your business into shape. I am here because I just got done reading/listening to Said the Lady with the Blue Hair. This book was amazing. I absolutely love the story. I loved the audiobook because it had both the authors taking turns reading different parts of it. But what was really super valuable is the fact that it was not only told as a story, but they incorporated 7 amazing rules that is going to help anybody in business move forward. And they did it in a way that makes a lot of sense and it fits right in with the story. It was so beautifully done. And the story was something that really touched my heart. And I definitely want you as one of the badass crew to have access to this. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is go to saidtheladywiththebluehair.com and get a copy of the book if you prefer a physical copy, or go into your audiobook app, whatever that may be, and get the audio book, because I absolutely adored their voices and hearing the two of them tell this story. It was absolutely phenomenal. And the other thing that I want you to go do is go join, if you read the book and listen to the book, go join the Blue Hair Brigade group on Facebook. You'll know you're in the right place because you'll see that I'm a member of the group, but it's the Blue Hair Brigade on Facebook. If you want to get to know these authors, they do interviews every Thursday night. They have conversations right there live in the Facebook group, and they share some of these amazing rules and just have a lot of fun together. And frankly, Lisa Wilbur said, "Corsets and whips? This is my new favorite podcast." So, hey, you know she's one of ours. So if you haven't already, go click on saidtheladywiththebluehair.com and get a copy of the book, or go to your favorite audiobook app and get a copy of the audiobook right now.
Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jenny will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I'm your host, your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. Today, I have with me Bob Burg. And some of you may be thinking to yourself, that sounds really familiar. And that's probably because you know him because you've read the book, The Go-Giver, or anyone in the Go-Giver series. There are so many of them. The Go-Giver is a Wall Street Journal and BusinessWeek bestseller and has sold over 1 million copies. And it has consistently stayed in the top 25 of the Porch Light's business book bestsellers list. So I just want to jump into this conversation with Bob. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Coach Jenny. Great to be with you.
Oh my gosh. I am super excited because I was first introduced to the Go-Giver book probably in I think 2011, 2012, when I was actively working my network marketing business, direct sales business. And it really changed how I approached my business, how I approached life. Is that something that you see regularly? I'm sure you probably hear that all the time about the Go-Giver. What got you to write this book in this way?
Well, it's always a nice compliment to hear something like that. And other people, you hear them say, this is what I always did, but nobody believed me. And then they use that book as sort of third-party credibility that, oh yeah, it really does. People don't listen to you. I know you led a huge organization and you probably saw that you would teach someone something They wouldn't listen. Someone else came in and said the same thing. And they said, Jenny, you wouldn't believe what this person said. And you probably went, yeah, just keep listening to them. That's great.
Uh-huh.
Right? So
time after time. And now that's actually how I make my living. I'm the third party.
Third party credibility. Right, exactly.
I'm the one who comes in for the direct sales leaders who are looking for that expert voice to
Right.
get their team to do the thing, right? So how did you come up with these? And I know you co-wrote this with John David Mann.
Yeah.
How did you come up with these laws and the story?
Well, some of it was based on my first book, which was called Endless Referrals. The subtitle was Network Your Everyday Contacts into Sales, which was basically a how-to book on how entrepreneurs and salespeople who knew they had a great product or service, but they didn't necessarily feel comfortable meeting people and creating relationships with people in their areas and doing so in such a way that people would feel comfortable with them, would want to do business with them directly, would want to refer them to others. So Endless Referrals was simply a system. What is a system? Really, it's nothing more than the process of predictably achieving a goal based on a logical and specific set of how-to principles, right? The key is predictability. If it's been proven that by doing A, you'll get the desired results of B, all you need to do is A and continue to do A, and you'll get the desired results. And that was a system for doing so. But it was based on a premise, and that is, which I've been saying for 30 years or however long I've been doing this, and that is that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. So I had always thought, though, wouldn't it be great if we could take the basic idea of this how-to book and put it into parable form? Because, parables are stories. Stories connect, as you know, much more on a heart-to-heart level. And fortunately, I met John David Mann, who was the editor-in-chief of a network marketing magazine that I used to write for, used to write a monthly column for. And John had a wonderful reputation as a fantastic writer, and which he is. And I brought this idea to him about, what is it that really separates the people who are able to have, okay businesses and those who have just flourishing businesses who find they can connect with people quickly and sustainably and create those know, like, and trust relationships. Well, they're givers. They're always looking for ways to give value to others. And I told him about the idea of a book I had and the Go Giver and blah, blah, blah. Well, he fortunately liked the idea. And we got together he was the lead writer and main storyteller, though. Believe me, this guy is I'm a how-to guy. He's that, but he's also a great storyteller. But, it took us just a few months to write it. We got turned down by 24 publishing houses. And then the 25th one finally picked us up, and, it's been a good ride.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet they're really happy they were they were the next one that you reached out to, right? They're really happy you didn't give up at 24. No, that's absolutely fantastic. And so have you seen, since you wrote the book in the early 2000s, have you seen a shift in the way any of these laws, because you have the 5 laws of stratospheric success, is there a way that they have shifted or changed in that time because of how we now connect digitally with people but there's more digital connection than there is in-person connection?
Well, as you know, the laws or principles never change. What changes are strategies, tactics, if you will, different adjustments to do things in different ways. But you know what? It's still that people, all things being equal, people do business with and refer business to those people, not those computers. They know, like, and trust. And so anything, the book's been out, I guess, 15 years now. And in that time, sure, social media has become even more prevalent. And these principles work just as well with social media. John and I don't believe it's an either or. We think it's an and, but it's still all about the relationships. And it's still all about, before you tweet, post, pin, whatever it is that you're doing, it's asking yourself the question is, what I'm about to communicate, what I'm about to put out there, is it going to add value to those who see it? And if it does, great. You're probably following the laws.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for the people who haven't yet read the book or listened to the Audible yet, I have to say, I really love the adding value piece, right? Because the way you explained it in the book is so interesting, and how it got put into play to add value with something as simple as making a connection for somebody.
It can sometimes be as simple as that. Really, when we talk about being a go-giver, it's the basic principle or premise is this, that shifting your focus, and this is really where it all, and you talk about that in your story, where when you first got into direct sales, it was kind of all about you, and you were hitting people up, and when you realize that, no, it's about them, and that it was a matter of attracting them to you by being the person who you were, which was someone focused on them, that made a huge difference. So it's shifting your focus from getting to giving. Now, when we say giving, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing immense value to others, understanding that doing so is not only a more pleasant, more fulfilling way of conducting business, sure, but it's also the most financially profitable way as well. And not for some way out there, woo-woo, magical, mystical type of reasons. Oh, just do good things and no, not at all. It's actually very rational. It's very logical. When you're that person who can take your focus off yourself and place it on serving others, discovering what they need, what they want, what they desire, when you can place your focus on helping them overcome their challenges, when you can move off of yourself and focus on helping them move closer to happiness, well, people feel good about you. They feel great about you. They want to get to know you. They like you. They trust you. They want to do business with you, but they also want to tell others all about you. They want to be your personal walking ambassador. When we talk about value, which by definition is simply the relative worth or desirability of a thing, of something to the end user, it simply means, what can you add to this person's life that's going to make them feel good about it and good about you? It's creating the entire experience. It's the excellence you display in everything you do. It's how you make a person feel about themselves at every touch point. From the moment you meet that person, whether it's something inbound, outbound, at your local business function or expo, to the relationship building process, to the follow-up, the follow-through, the sales process, the referral process. It's how you display excellence, consistency, attention to them as a human being, empathy, and gratitude, appreciation. It's all those things. And when you do this, you create a wonderful value-based experience that's worth 10 times, 100 times more than any money they may exchange with you.
Oh, yeah. And, oftentimes when I'm doing sales presentations, talking to people about how to shift out of sales that feel awful to sales that feel good, it really is about that shifting the attention off of what you're going to get from the sales process. Like you're talking about right now, is that's why so many people fear sales is, because it feels gross to them, because where's their focus?
You know what, Coach Jenny,
themselves.
You hit it on the head. That's exactly right. See, most people, when they say, well, I don't like sales, it's not that they don't like sales. It's that they don't like what they think sales is. Now, if you think selling is about trying to convince someone to buy something they don't want or need, well, who would want to do that? That's yucky, right? Hey,
yeah.
Use a technical term there, but yeah, yucky. And, but if we look at selling instead as simply discovering what that other person does want, does need, does desire, and helping them to get it, now we can feel great about selling. That's what selling actually is.
Oh, yeah. It always floors people when I tell them I have 100% sales conversion rate. And they go, how is that possible? And I said, because I'm not always selling for me. I'm listening to what the other person wants. And if their top of mind problem is not something I solve, I'm going to introduce them to the person, the business that does. Mm-hmm. That's how you have 100% sales conversion rate. And
that's one.
But that's the adding of the value, right? The making of the connection. And then they want to do something good back for you because they know you, quote unquote, gave up the sale to this other business. So they go, well, how can I help you? You help me solve that problem.
Well, they also know that you're someone who can be trusted. They know you have their well-being at heart. So the more that you give value to the marketplace, to those around you, to those whose lives you touch, when you give value to others, which is law 1, when you touch the lives of many, which is law 2, when you place their interests before your own, not in a self-sacrificial way, not in a doormatty type of way, not in a martyrish type of way, but understanding that they're going to do things for their reasons, not ours. Just like you referring someone else when you're not the solution. You're placing their interest. That's a wonderful thing. When you come at it from your true, authentic core, what you've done, and when you've done all that without attachment to the results, it doesn't mean you don't care, but you don't have an emotional attachment to the result. Your sense of joy, peace of mind, happiness is not dependent upon any one person, right? Then what happens is you've created what John and I call the benevolent context for your success.
Oh, yeah. And I think that naturally will attract people in.
It does.
Right? It acts like an energetic, to go to the woo-woo again.
It's not, though. It's not woo-woo at all. It really is. That is what it is. Giving attracts, because people know that when you do it genuinely and authentically, you have their best interest at heart. That inspires trust. And we go back again to know, like, and trust.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. So going through so giving value, serving others, and doing so from a place of, putting others ahead of yourself. Let's talk about that doormat thing that you just talked about, because a lot of people are worried now, okay, so now I have to give all this stuff, as Dr. Ivan Meisner says from BNI, giver's gain, right?
Absolutely.
I've been giving, beginning. When does the gaining start? How do you not be the doormat? Where does that fit in?
Okay, so let's kind of go back to something, but it's very important to make this point. The first thing for anyone to understand is that there is nothing about being a go-giver that is congruent with being a doormat or with being a martyr or with being taken advantage of. And I would say to somebody that if you find yourself in a pattern of being taken advantage of, I don't mean once or twice or every so often, we're human beings, in 80 years, that's going to happen sometimes. I'm talking about a pattern of this happening. I'll tell you, it's not because you're a nice person. It's not because you're a giving person. It's because you're doing things in a certain way that is creating the context for people to take advantage of you. Okay. And if that's the case, and you understand that, then first, congratulations, because it's only once we understand that there's an issue that we're in a position to overcome it. Okay.
Right.
So then it's a matter of asking, well, why is this so? Why am I always the one involved when I'm being taken advantage of? What am I doing that's causing this? What is the payoff for me on an conscious level? Okay. Is it that it's my excuse for not being successful? Well, after all, everyone's taken advantage. Is it that I like the sympathy I get when I can complain to my friends about being taken? And I'm not saying it is, by the way. I'm just saying we have to ask ourselves we have to go deep, because this is unconscious. Nobody consciously wakes up in the morning and says, hey, I think I'll go out there and be taken advantage of by somebody today. No, it's always unconscious. When that's the case, we've got to make the unconscious, we got to take the unconscious and make it conscious.
Yeah.
But there's always a payoff. There's always a reason. By the way, it might also be I don't have the skill set to know how to say no in a way that's graceful and tactful and respects my boundaries. So there's many reasons. But yeah, please be assured, we're not when we say about go-giver and placing other people's interests for, we're not in any way talking about being taken advantage of. What we are saying is it's understanding that people do things for their reasons, not our reasons. When I speak at sales conferences, I often say, first thing I'll say is, nobody's going to buy from you because you have a quota to meet. Okay? They're not going to buy from you because you need the money, because you want to send your kid to a good school. They're not going to buy from you just because you're a nice person. They're going to buy from you, or in network marketing, they're going to join your organization or be a consumer or whatever, because ultimately they believe that they will be better off by doing so than by not doing so. And that's fine. That's the only reason why anyone should. But this is this is great, because it means if you truly have a heart for service and for bringing value to others and can place your focus there, okay, and do so in the appropriate way, well, you're going to do fantastic. It's why John David Mann and I say that money is simply an echo of value, right? It's the thunder to values lightning. Simply means what? The value must come first. That must be your focus. The value comes first. The money you receive is simply a natural result of the value you've provided.
Oh my gosh. And now you and I met because I actually got to talk to Jeff West and Lisa Wilbur, who wrote a book oh my gosh.
Great book that they wrote. It is
fabulous. It said The Lady with the Blue Hair.
Yeah.
Fabulous book. But in there, they kind of address that. And I love the analogy that they used in there with the giving, which is the giving of value. You can't walk up to a wood stove and expect it to start giving you heat. You have to put the wood in the stove, and then you get heat.
Exactly. And that's a law of life. Right. And successful people, by the way, that's an adorable cat behind you.
Oh, thank you.
It looks a lot actually like my foster cat, Buddy.
I was going to ask you about him, but okay, continue.
Buddy won't come up on a chair, though. He's now at the point he's very relaxed in the house. He's doing great, but he's not a climber yet and doesn't, really do that. But it would have been fun if he came up there in the back of mine and the two of them got to see each other. But yeah, it's a universal law that the giving does come first. We sow before we reap. We plant before we harvest. We give before we receive. The challenge, though, is that you've got to be able to receive. Once you light that wood stove, you've got to be able to accept the heat. You've got to be able to receive the heat. And when you provide value to others, you've got to be able to receive the goodness that comes back to you in the form of monetary or in the form of kindness or in the form of whatever it happens to be. But, unfortunately, the world around us gives us so many horrible anti-prosperity messages that people think there's something wrong with being wealthy or abundant or prosperous. You must have done it on the backs of others, or you must have taken advantage of someone or been nefarious in your business dealings. Well, first of all, it's a big world, so there's people who do lousy things. By and large, whenever there's a free market type of model, which network marketing and direct selling certainly is, and that free market simply means no one's forced to do business with you, right? You have to earn that. So in your model, the only way you can earn a whole lot of money is by serving a whole lot of people with exceptional value, right? And that's the great thing. And I'm talking about both your consumers and those in your group, those you lead. You're simply the lead server.
Oh, yeah. I would agree with that. That is something that I experienced both through the leader who brought me into the direct sales industry, and then based on what she taught me and how she showed me and modeled for me to be that kind of servant leader, turned around and did the same, because she's the one who introduced me to the Go Giver book, because she was dead serious, dead serious. And she actually would run a challenge once a year, which was called the Go Giver Challenge, which was read the book. And then, she had a week-long challenge, a 5-day challenge, 7-day challenge, whatever it was, where we would go and provide more value than we were compensated for, serve more people. We literally did for 5 days.
I love it. And follow the laws.
Created this challenge that helped build business, because it was about the activity and practicing it. And so we would do this challenge. She would do the challenge, and then I would do the challenge with my group. And it works. I mean, it really does. And that's how my team got to number one in the world. That's how her team got to number one in the world, because we did that. We taught our team to do things in a way that felt good, which is to connect with people.
Right. That's what it's all about.
Serve people. Don't try and sell them the thing just because like you said, make quota. Because no one cares about that.
They don't. They truly don't.
Now, we kind of touched on this just a minute ago. So you foster animals. You love animals. This is a part of your life that is really important to you. Do you work with your own clients to talk about, having an organization that means something to them as part of their business model?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I think most people naturally have their causes, and have their things that they feel good about and they feel that are important. I think if you speak to most people, they have either a charity they support or something they really believe in. So I don't really feel that's my place to necessarily say, as you're doing business, you need to have a cause you believe in. You know what I'm saying? I think,
they will already.
I think it's, and I think it's more for me to encourage and say, that's fantastic. That's wonderful what you're doing. But I don't see that as like part of necessarily the go-giver process to do that. Whereas it's more, about helping them build their business. But by the same token, when if there's, let's say, a charity or a foundation or what have you, that's going out to elicit donations, they need to understand the same thing. That when they're going out to their potential donor, that donor is not donating for the charity's reason. They're donating for the donor's reason. So they have to find out what is it that they value, Now, some people, when they give to charity, they do it so that other people can know they're giving to charity. So in that case, you want to make sure that they know they're going to be acknowledged in some way. For some people, it's because they just have the great feeling of what they're doing. It's congruent with their values to do, right? So in that case, you need to make sure they understand how their values are going to be fulfilled through giving. For someone else, it's that they want, whatever. I mean, people have their different reasons, and our reasons isn't necessarily theirs. So you've got to go out the same way as though if you're doing network marketing or selling computers or insurance or whatever it happens to be. It's always about why the other person is going to take action. And our goal is to discover that and then help connect the benefits of what we sell with their desires.
I love that. So now, Bob, what I want to ask you is, how can I serve you? What do you have going on coming up next? How can I and my audience serve you?
Well, first, you already have just by having me on your program. So, that's a wonderful thing. But, if people want to get, kind of a daily impact, if you will, and I'm doing something I rarely do, and that is multitasking, because I'm actually going to put something in your chat. It's the daily impact. It's a link to the daily impact email. So I send that out 5 days a week. It's just a little kind of jolt for the day that kind of gets you going and gives you something to think about throughout the day. And it's a free subscription. So anyone who would like to sign up for that is more than welcome to, or they can just visit burg.com, and there'll be a little pop-up thingy there that helps them do the same thing.
Absolutely. Well, my badass crew knows that link is now in the show notes. And for those who are listening for the first time, because they are coming to the show because they heard that you were going to be on it, if you want to access the show notes, all you have to do is grab your phone, as long as you're not driving.
That's right.
Click on today's episode, scroll up just a little bit, and you'll see a little blurb on there. Click where it says see more, and it will open up the entire show notes, and it'll give you access to Bob Burg's Daily Impact email newsletter. Sign up so that you can get that little burst of wonderfulness at the beginning of your day. I'm going to go sign up for myself right now, because I don't want to miss a Bob Burg, bomb starting my day. That sounds wonderful. So I thank you so very much for your generosity and sharing that with my audience. I so appreciate your time, your knowledge, and your expertise in sharing The Go-Giver. It is still one of my favorite books, one of the ones that I recommend when people ask me, what are my top 3 recommendations? It is always in the top 3. So thank you so much. I so appreciate you.
You just made my day. Thank you.
Oh, I made Bob Burg's day.
Yes, you did.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Well, between the cat and saying that you're a top 3 book, I think that's a good one. I'll take it. So, Bob, thank you again for being here today. And Badass Crew, you know how this goes. Stay tuned, because there's another badass episode on its way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast, so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.